we did a
Sorry.
we did a visit with Trisha Malcolm, who's over VK Live, who's involved in the Rowan brand, and so I've had a little bit of practice, but this is the first one that we've hosted. So bear with me, and if I start to make things up, please correct me. And if I start going too fast, you get
go with it. Yeah.
Okay. And if I start to go too fast, please, yank me back. I'm feeling a little breathless. I'm so excited about this. In case some of our guests don't know, we at Church Mouse, just about the day of our 20th anniversary of our bricks and mortar shop, made the tough decision to close the bricks and mortar shop. And so we're very excited to be, exploring some of these new opportunities. I'm going to just give a little bit of a rundown about how things are going to go, just some agenda items. John asks me to tell you that don't worry about missing anything. We are recording it, and we'll send you a link in a follow-up email. We are going to do a little bit of a 3-part agenda. We're going to start with introducing Bloom, and then ask Erika to tell us her story, and then I'd like to just have a little bit of a circle back around about why we love Erika and think she's perfect for this project. We're going to hold questions till the end. John will be gathering them, and we're going to allow a Q&A time just because we've got so much to cover, and the 3 of us could talk forever. So we're going to try to stay on track. And also we want to allow time for the amazing prizes that Rowan has provided for us. And there are so many that it could have taken the whole time. So and they're so good. We've clustered them together. We're going to do, after our part 1, we're going to do 3 drawings. After part 2, 3 drawings. After part 3, 3 drawings. And then toward the end, when we wrap up, we're going to do a grand prize drawing. But I think actually all the prizes are pretty grand. So I don't think there's anything more on housekeeping, just Q&A at the end. I know what's important. There are gifts as well as prizes, and everybody who is registered and attending will be getting a free pattern, download for 2 free patterns, actually. It's from the book. It's a booty pattern as well as, well, they're both on the same picture, a booty pattern as well as a hat pattern. I'm working on the hat right now. It's lovely and squishy. And so everybody will get that. The first 50 orders will get a Bloom bag, a lovely kind of muslin-y canvas bag with the Bloom logo. And then the first 100 people who make an order will get a little packet of soak, scentless soak that Soak has packaged for the Bloom launch. And I think these bags are the only 50 in the US. So we're very pleased to have those for you. Now, we didn't want you to have to just start ordering right now because we don't want you to miss a minute of this. And so we're not going to start counting those 50 until 11:30 on the dot. We'll flick that, and that's when the time will start for your first 50. So don't order in the next hour and a half, just relax. I mean, if you want to scope things out, you certainly can prepare, but the ordering timing will start at 11:30. And I think that's it. So I would just like to introduce 2 of my favorite people in the world who I don't get to see enough. Erika Knight, who has been one of my so much inspiration and encouragement for me. And just, if I had to pick a designer who has influenced me the most, it would be Erika. And partly the aesthetic, partly the heart and the ethos, and just overall fabulousness. And her lovely daughter, Arabella Harris, joined Erika's business 7 years ago, I think. Is that right? So you'll learn more about them when we get to the next bit. But I've had several opportunities, speaking of martinis, I've had several opportunities to get to know these two, and they were kind enough to take me around the V&A, the Victoria and Albert Museum, when I was in London. So that was a dream day. I wish everybody could have that day. So more background on Erika later. We're just going to get right to the reason that we're doing this kind of mini trunk show launch is for a new range at Rowan, and I'll let you two tell us about it.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. This is like being in a, as I said, you know, this is just a joy for us, and a ditto all of that. We've been friends across the concepts and seas for many, many years, and you've always been a great champion of us, and for that I'm indebted. And long may these sort of chats last, where we can flex our creative juices and emerge. So we, you know, I've been in the business for a long time. Business, I say that, if this is clearly, you know, if this is
In the
everyday work
craft.
in the craft, yes.
Yes.
But so for many, it just feels like osmosis. It's just what you do. So this is an absolute joy. I've worked with Rowan probably a little bit from the beginning, really.
But who's counting?
Who's counting? Always designed a colour and yarns, and it's had many metamorphosis, is that a word?
Yeah, it'll do.
And anyway, at this point, we find ourselves back with working with Rowan, which has been a joy. Back working with you in another capacity too, which is a complete joy. Working with Sandy, which is a complete joy. And working together, which I have to say has been a complete joy.
Mostly.
Mostly.
Yeah,
Mostly. Mostly. So I live now here on the south coast in St. Leonard's. So we are in our studio here, but it doesn't matter. I always think it doesn't matter where you work from, where you are. It's about making connections. It's about making creative friends. And like you say, you know, we share this common interest of this. What is that? What is it? This touch, this feel, this creating fabric, this, oh, it's urgent. Unless we are one of our tribe, we don't get it, do we? But we do all get that.
Yeah.
So we've been working, yarn has been, I don't know what it is about yarn, or a continuous thread. I love the fact that with literally two sticks, I know we work on wires and things now, but you know, with two sticks and a continuous thread of, and we control freaks, let's face it, but with two sticks, a continuous thread, we create fabric, we create, magic. It is magic that you can create things which are so primeval that you can, I'm sure primeval man constructed textile to hunt and fish and gather and feed, and probably, you know, women would construct fabric to clothe and nurture. It's
and that's
so
really that nurturing is
absolutely
that starting point for a lot of people's knitting journey. That's what gets them into knitting in the first place. And so that's where we wanted to start with Bloom. So we've just got a few slides just to kind of show you a few sneak peeks of the projects, and just to kind of introduce it, but we'll flip through them fairly swiftly so that we don't but yeah, so basically, we've been working with Rowan on this project for probably about a year and a half now. And it's something that we're really passionate about. And we really started right from the beginning, kind of thinking about this specific space for baby within the Rowan brand, and kind of how that should look. And even sorry, I've got noise outside, even the concept of the word and everything being really about that time in your life or in your friend's life where you're blossoming, and a new life is coming into the world, that lovely anticipation and that springtime.
And I don't know what it is, but somebody will announce, oh, you know, my daughter or my friend's having a baby, and look at, I'll knit for you. And the first time I ever did it was a bit in a baby shower in Australia. And I said to this one, do you knit? And no, but I feel the urge to take up needles, to do that. And so it was really that thought. And I did a book about more than 20 years ago. Those children have now left
Simple knits for
home
cherished babies.
and simple knits. So they're always dear to our heart in a knitting capacity. It's always the urge.
So with the new bloom at Rowan, it's launched with a brand new yarn, cotton wool, which we'll speak a lot about. And also we had the opportunity to bring new colors into two real favorites, and especially for baby things, Baby Cash Soft Merino and Summer Light DK, because we really wanted to have those options of kind of fiber preference, price points as well, and also for kind of winter, if a baby's born in winter or summer, those different
East
cotton
Coast,
or wool.
West Coast, Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere. You know, babies do have a habit of appearing at any time of day or night. That's or true. Winter, or, you know, they are
and apparently
fairly trans-seasonal.
I don't know, I heard apparently on a full moon, you're more likely to give birth. Yeah, because there was a big full moon here last night. It was huge. And it's, there's something, again, quite primeval about that.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, digress. There's both yarn collections have got their own pattern booklet, and importantly, what we really wanted to celebrate in this new concept is not only baby but also mama.
Important.
So it's kind of taking you right on that journey, so that it's clothes, garments that mama can wear, but not only for pregnancy and kind of that changing body shape, but also for after baby's born, those sweaters that just become old friends that you always just want to throw on. So there's some kind of practical details and little design tricks and techniques.
For me too, it's all those evocative notes. It's such a precious time of nesting and sharing and bringing families and communities together. And that's a celebration, and creating fabric and honoring textile at that time is wonderful. The smells, the touch, all those things, all our senses become really heightened.
So we're just going to do a little quick overview of the first booklet, which is all about the new yarn cotton wool. So as we said, we've got designs in this for mama and baby. So you'll see the little peachy bonnet there that Kit was knitting, and a couple of the other baby garments. And we've also got a few of the mama garments to show you later. And also because we've obviously been in pandemic and different lockdowns in the UK while we've been doing this project, we had a real difficulty of actually doing photo shoots with real mums and babies, with logistics and kind of health wise. So what we decided to do was we actually commissioned an illustrator to work with us to—
They're lovely.
Yeah, and I think there's something quite soft and evocative of these illustrations, and it's kind of helps to get across the kind of styling and look and feel on a body alongside the still life photography.
Yeah, especially like this piece you can see is just very, very simple, you know, but with a little extended armhole. I find, especially when you're doing, although this is a short row shaping sleeve, just a little design detail here, but I do a 3 needle cast off on the outside, so it gives a little subtle detail
on that shoulder seam.
Yeah, I hate those little blips when you sew them up.
I did that on the hat too.
Yeah, I like it when we can incorporate the finishing within that. It's just little technique, you know, they're tiny, but when it's on the body, a piece like this, it's all about the fiber and the yarn and you wearing it. So it becomes your soft armor. You know, it's all those, so the fabric absorbs all your joy and your anxiety, but you wrap yourself up and it becomes you as the individual.
I'd like to add one more little thing about the designs that you've done for mama, and you talked about the changing body types. I also think they're lovely designs for grandma, or in my case, great aunt. Speaking of changing body types, they're just overall great pieces.
Oh, but I, you know, they are timeless pieces. It's a sharing time. I think it's lovely when someone sort of announces it. It's nice to think, oh, let's go and knit, and it could be taking off, you know, niece. I've got my great niece coming tomorrow, little Beatrix. Although I've gone, Kit, to instead of great aunt, I've chosen to be fabulous aunt. I thought great just wasn't enough, really.
Not grand enough. Yeah. Nice.
It's all about that as well, and you don't want to buy, and you certainly don't want to knit any garment that you're only going to have a small window of opportunity to wear. So that's the idea, is that they work, you know, whatever kind of body shape you are, and they've just got that bit of ease or a detail, you know, like a wrap or a side split that allows, you know, you're changing shape, but, you know, accommodates lots of different options. So yeah, that was something that we were really keen to do in this, and absolutely anyone can wear them.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yeah, the last one was a little mini me, just in it's a little mock brioche, which is very easy to knit. Yeah, that one, sorry. But, you know, and obviously you have to have the essential pocket for the credit card, the phone nowadays, you know, a little bit.
21st century babies.
21st century babies.
This one with the turn back cuff, I think is really nice. It just allows for that bit of growth, and it looks super cute. I think some of those little styling details that you know, as grown-ups obviously we do all the time, but when they're shrunk down, it just looks so sweet. I love it.
But they're practical.
They're practical.
And the reason too for, you know, this has got a little slightly longer shirt tail. It's a nice bit of sort of integral shaping, so you get a nice little shirt tail. So although it's a, you know, it's simple plain knit garter stitch, you know, and obviously it's got double buttons both sides for ease of getting it. Nothing more infuriating when you take the baby's ears off, you know. It's you know, it's not pleasant, they don't like it, you know.
So well, it's very practical as well as being stylish.
I mean, that's the goal, isn't it? That's really the ultimate.
And you know, often, especially when you're gift giving, it is, you know, well, yes, I've seen the baby now, and you can, I'll hand it back. But what about my gift that I've made? You know, that's me.
So the second booklet focuses on the yarns Baby Cash Soft Merino and Summer Light DK, which are both double knitting weight and can be used totally interchangeably. So this is just a little overview of the whole collection, and you can see a lot of the colors that the new colors that we designed for cotton wool, the new yarn, we also brought into those two existing yarns.
So they are quite chalky colors. I think I'm probably known for quite chalked colors, but I do find them flattering for all skin tones, which is lovely. But also with any of our palettes, we pride ourselves that, especially doing color work, anything that you pick up will work together. You know, so as a, you know, in retail or going in, when can go into retail or look online, you can be certain that they will blend together. It will be that will tone, and that's important to me to do that. I'm just going to point out, could I just point out one little one? Could you go back? Sorry, there's a little one just in the top corner. It's a funny little rib piece, little gilet, but I often find when people want to make something for baby, they tend to go to a little boot. And that can be more tricky to make, but it does make a lovely gift. But this is a little vest gilet with a little integral tie, and it will slip over a baby grow really easily, and so super simple.
And it's nice for tucking under like a coat or something as well, to give that extra bit of warmth, for layering.
Could you tell the American audience what a gilet is?
Yes, a vest. Yes.
It's what we would call a vest, and what we would call a vest, you would call an undershirt, right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
I really like gilet. That sounds so.
A little gilet.
Yeah, you can have that one.
You can have that one. Yes, we'll keep this string vest, but that's another conversation.
Yes.
So even with a little wrap, we have got this garment here too. But again, this is ribbed on one side. So as one's body expands, that will grow, but the front piece being stocking stitch, it's softly rounded the shape, so this is always going to look elegant over a expanding bump. I don't know, when I had Bella, I absolutely was huge. I had to leave notes that I could walk in case I'd fell over, because I would never have got back up again. And but this is to cater for expanding, obviously, but it's a very elegant piece. I've been making one myself because its wraps are so quintessentially classic as well, and comfortable,
and great for layering, and also really practical as well for nursing when baby.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going for
I love this
gilet vest, but just having little ties. I think this, you know, again, grandmas and aunt.
Oh, this is just such
absolutely.
I love, because I love wearing, you know, big shirt and then something over the top, a vest or a would we call it a gilet? Probably not. No.
It's almost a tabard, isn't it?
Yes, tabard.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
There you are. This is
the little.
I'd forgotten we had a slide on. Just little.
Yeah, so you can see that one quite clearly. It's
And I think too, it's nice to make a little project that one, especially in these times, one can send in a little parcel that will still go. I don't know what your mail like is now. Our mail is awful now, but it's quite nice to have a little gift that it is just sending. And this just will take, I think we'll just take 2 balls of this.
I have to interject here because you were talking about Arabella when she was your bump. I don't know if anybody saw this, but I just want to let our guests know we did have a lovely little picture of Erika and baby Bella on our Instagram. So take a look at that. It's very adorable.
Wearing matching Aran jumpers.
Mini me Aran switches, yes.
Absolutely, both in hand knits. It was lovely.
Absolutely.
These are both knitted in the round, aren't they, for that kind of seam-free comfort.
These I like with patterns. They're basic recipes. You know, obviously the little sweater is just a little basic classic top down, literally left with a raw edge at the bottom to give that little. I love the inside, just to give a little curl. It would be beautiful extended to make a little dress for a little girl maybe, or a little layer. And they are basic recipes for people to have and go, oh, you know, I'm going to do this with it, or I'm going to make that. It's just what it's about, a simple recipe.
And also just kind of trying out the different colors, and that idea that that basic recipe where you find a good sweater and then the next baby that comes along, you know, from your friends or family, you can knit that same thing but kind of personalize it differently. So that's the kind of overview, and so we've got some garments to show, but we can also,
there's a couple of little pieces of crochet, and we snuck in a bit of crochet.
A blanket,
it's literally a parody on a little granny square, but you know, given I like to with a design to do it sort of micro scale, same stitch, and macro scale, or just do it the same thing in other fibers, but it's just, you know, it will use up oddments as well.
I'm glad you did that blanket in both stripes and a solid color, and I'm glad you included crochet in the books, because you're probably the reason that I like crochet. I crocheted, of course, granny squares in high school, and you know, the Afghan for the boyfriend, but you are the one, I think with your simple crocheting book, which I'm not sure if it's in print still, I'm not positive, but it was the thing that tipped me to saying, oh, crochet can be very modern.
The dark side.
So thank you for that.
The dark side.
Yes, right. Yeah. Well, I think it's time for a drawing.
Woohoo!
And we're going to start our first drawing. And maybe if you have the pieces, you could show them as we go. I'll be showing a picture, but so the first one is from the book that is Summer Light and Baby Cash Soft. It's the Cherub baby hat, which is this one.
Yeah,
I think Sandy Blue is working on that one. You get 2 skeins, which means you can make 2 hats. One in nutkin. Could it be any cuter than that? And
No.
one in pickle. And you can make a hat up to 12 months. And the retail value of the book and the 2 skeins of yarn are $38.50.
Good
And
price.
Isn't that a nice price? And whoops, oh, I'm gonna hand that to John so that he can put the winner's name right in the bag.
Da-da-da. Drum
Need a
These
roll.
are all
drum
these are all the, this is very exciting. Margaret Chess.
Show it to the camera.
Congratulations, Margaret. And we'll be getting in touch with you and sending this off to you.
Fab.
All right, so that's that one, John. And the next one is, again, from the Bloom collection for Baby Cash Soft and Summer Light. And it is the Lullaby Crocheted Blanket,
That's the crochet one.
which is
okay.
the one we were just talking about. It's a solid color, and you'll be getting 6 skeins of the blue,
Love that
beautiful
colour.
blue, which is called Moon,
Moon.
as in Good Night Moon.
Good,
It's a
good for moon.
26 and it's a 26-ish inch square, and the retail value for the book and the 6 skeins of yarn is $73. The Summer Light and the Baby Catch Soft DK are both machine washable. Correct?
They are.
Well, gently.
It was important for us to have everything for everybody's lifestyle. So there's
Yes.
real choice.
I have Deborah Krajewski. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Deborah Krajewski. And the next one, big bag,
Oh, big bag.
is again from the collection for Cash Soft and Summer Light. It is the Lark Shawl, which
Ooh.
is a gorgeous piece. It's 84 inches wide, 34 3/4 inches long. You get 14 skeins of the Baby Cash Soft Merino in, what's this
It's
color
lovely.
called?
It is
That's
called
duckling.
Duckling.
Duckling. I forgot to write it down. Duckling, again.
It's about
Adorable.
different ribs resisting, but it makes a beautiful one. And
And it's a little bit asymmetric.
It's a
Yeah.
little, because I'm very asymmetric, but it's a little bit asymmetric, but beautiful for tucking baby under, for
nursing,
breastfeeding,
yeah.
or just wearing with.
Or
Makes
no
sense.
baby.
Oh, yeah. Fab.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoops, I pulled 2. I'll take the top one.
Okay.
Cynthia McNamara has won that lovely gift at a retail value of $170.50.
Fantastic.
All right.
Fab.
So, we did that in perfect timing. We're going to, first, I just want to say, you're getting a feel for how lovely these prizes are. And I want to say thank you again to Rowan for their generosity. It's very lovely. So I know we talked a little bit, Erika, about your background in the beginning, but I'd like to come back to that. And then also, of course, Bloom, this project will weave into that as well. But I'd like you to tell us a little bit about your background in fashion and ready to wear, your background in knitwear, your deep history with Rowan, and how you found yourself back here. And then probably Bella will come into that. It won't be necessarily a separate question, but I'll be poking you too.
Well, I've always, I think we all know, we all identify within ourselves how maybe why we were different in our families, is that creativity. It's always making things. My grandmother used to have like a book, a catalogue book of fashion, and I would be always cutting out, making dolls, making up scenarios. I loved anything with a tab to make clothes, always making things for my Barbies. But you had Barbies, we had Cindy doll. wasn't
okay.
the same. I'm
Not as
sorry,
glam.
not as glam. But they're always making, the only thing I knew I wanted to do was go to art school. And I've always had this dilemma of whether to do fashion or whether to do fine art. There was always this dichotomy. I'm a typical Gemini. I can be very neutral, I can be very colorful, I can be very plain, I can be very over the top. It's just always a fight. I can be really over the top and paring it back to be very simple. But I went to art school, I did do fine art. I find now it is that marriage of synapses. It's the logic and the other side of the brain. You see, I don't even know whether that's the left or the right synapse, but one is very logical and one is very, if you took flip my head, it would be like scribble. And I think it's organizing that, and that is a constant battle always, and that creativity. But that way you never run out of ideas. Everything inspires you. So it was a very good experience. I always embraced every youth culture that came along. Punk was wonderful while I was at college. I learned to knit again, if you like. I learned to knit again. My grandmother had shown me. And then, of course, I would make structure and textile, but we pinned it together with safety pins, put a bit of a bin bag with it, and shoved it down a runway to Sounds of the Clash or Kraftwerk, fittingly. And it was strange. I was working in textile. What was wonderful was having opportunities. And I would say to people, it's just really taking up opportunities. You know, you go, oh, I don't know, or maybe it's just sheer passion, enthusiasm, maybe a bit of naivety. You embrace, and anyway, I found myself doing textile print. What I didn't realize, I suppose, all the little bits and pieces I enjoyed, I was a textile designer. And so I ended up doing textile print, and it's when Vivienne Westwood started. So we'd be festooning fabric for her to the sounds of the New Romantics. And there we are, I embraced yet another youth culture. But I knitted throughout. I made little clubby vests, and we were selling to Neiman Marcus and Bloomingdale's and everywhere in Charivari. Some people might remember Charivari, and everybody in New York, and Fred's, I remember, in California, and all across the world. And that's where I feel I learnt my trade, because we were using like cottage industry and the constraints to be fashion, they all had to be little soldiers. So you learn your craft. And I could not have done that without the most amazing women and skilled craftspeople who shared their knowledge, and who these women, I call it, there's a wonderful book that I brought back from America many years ago called Anonymous, She Was a Woman, unsung people. And all my books are always dedicated to Anonymous, She Was a Woman, because without her paving the way, doing that exceptional thing, not going to function, but going above and beyond function, has allowed me to have the most wonderful career. And that led to, I think possibly, I've worked in every aspect of the fashion industry. So that led me to be working in Italy. I had the privilege to work with one of the big four in Italy and learn my craft on wonderful shaping machines. So having this wonderful hand gauges and texture, and then fine and absolutely so fine, beautiful, like whisper things, and designing yarn for designers and high street brands. I've worked in Australia, so I'm always very conscious of Northern and Southern Hemisphere, East and West Coast, man, woman, home, children. I think it's a privilege to be a designer, because they are solutions for, it's engineering, it's soft engineering, stitches. And we are control freaks, because we don't have to rest on fabric, what we buy. We control our fabric, we control our fiber, how big or small we want it, how textured or plain, and then we can control everything. So as you can see, it's all encompassing. I'm just passionate about fiber color, and I worked also within trend of predicting colors and trend before the idea is that before you design it so that before anybody knows they actually want it.
Mhm.
But all that's changing now. So maybe we'll talk
Much
about
faster.
that.
Yeah.
Everything's
Yeah.
changing now, and I'm finding that quite exhilarating as well.
So with your fashion background, when did you make the move, and was Rowan the first place you went? When did you make the move to, when did you come to us? When did you make what you give available to hand knitters?
I was always probably in the back of Rowan, always. I worked with Stephen Sheard,
Did
who
you?
Simon Cotton.
Yeah.
They were wonderful. Simon had the best office in the world down a wonderful lane in Holmfirth. I don't know whether you get the American, the UK series called, what's it called? Last of the Summer Wine. Do you ever get that? Do you ever see it?
No, but I do watch a few things in that, from that part of the world.
It's
Yorkshire.
actually set in the
Amazing.
home of Rowan. It's Holmfirth, and this wonderful lane, and there's a little ford that goes across the lane, and this old mill. And Simon Cockin had the best office in the world with a little grassy bank and a horse outside. And we talked all colour, and we did fibre, and it was heady times. No, because no one was doing it. No one was
in hand
doing that
knitting,
in hand
yeah.
knitting,
No.
and that was unique. It was a palette that it was just unique at the time, and we had wonderful Cave and the
Yeah.
Craft Council, and it was very small, and it was signature and personal,
Mhm.
and it was I think Bella even story goes, when I had Bella, I was pulled into her little nursery one time, and they said, oh, Bella, we're so intrigued. Bella has such a sophisticated use of colour. And I said, well, her father's an artist, and, you know. And yes, she calls red scarlet, two and a half or three or something, and orange mango. And then I went, you don't, does she do blue? Does she call it Prussian? Yes. I deflated because obviously it was Kate's choice of colours for the hand knit DK that we had some 30 years ago. And of course I was forever going to her, could you fetch me the blue, the Prussian. So she learned. So it was
That's
in the
funny.
Literally inevitable, yeah.
it was in the poem. So yes, Rowan has been there. I've always worked with Rowan.
Yeah.
Rowan had always been in my heart.
And wasn't it Stephen as well, that conversation with him that first prompted you to do craft books?
It was. We had a meeting
much later, yeah.
Everybody was what we called, they were doing cooking and gardening, cooking and digging. Nobody wanted knitting books at all. And I said, well, I've had an idea. I just want to bring, it's the best gift. And I think we'd all agree, it's the best gift you can give someone, to teach them to knit or crochet.
I agree.
It is, so if you share nothing else in any, give someone that gift is just incredible. And I did a first book just around a square, just literally make an in, over, this is what my grandmother taught me, in, over, under, off, and you make a stitch. You make a series of little stitches, you make a row, you make a series of rows, you're knitting.
And it's all that.
Yeah.
The rest is just
rest
technique.
is extra. Yeah. Well, your books, I think, are some of the most timeless books in the canon of knitting books. And I really do think that you and Rowan changed what a knitting book is. You know, I mean, I think that really did shift. It became fashion, but not fashion-y. Very just beautiful. So I really appreciate your contribution to that.
I think too, and latterly, where we are wanting to suit, because we are all changing, I think too, Rowan there's a sort of a guarantee, it's an unsaid guarantee, it's not a verbal guarantee, but the technique and the, you can trust the patterns. They will deliver for you. They will be technically accurate.
Mhm.
They will fit your body shape, you know, we're all we're grading much larger and what have you. But for technique, I find there's still a benchmark of expertise that is underpinning everything.
Yes, the professionalism. Yeah.
Professionalism.
A
Yeah.
couple of other things that I know about you. One is that you have long had a really keen sense of environmental sustainability in the yarn world. A number of things. I remember a few collections that you did with Rowan under the Pure Life label that were organic and local. I think you've been a huge influence in kind of resurrecting the England's woolen industry, both the fiber as well as the mills. I think you know, your ethos on having it not be just knitting, but being kind of responsible and accountable to the greater world in what you do, I think is
Important.
remarkable.
Well, it's just in our life.
But also, you know, what you always said to me was, you know, one of your first jobs was actually, you know, when you were kind of working on the industrial high street side, when there were still a lot of big mills in the UK.
9 big mills.
And one of your first jobs was to go with the kind of CEO of the company and actually close down a mill on the borders between England and Scotland. And that, I think that kind of thing stays with you, and you realize directly, you're literally seeing it, that what you do, the industry, the craft, the business that you are part of, directly impacts other people's work and lives, their livelihoods.
Choices, yeah, 2,000 people I had to lay off, and they couldn't. They thought they could just move. The company thought they could just move. You can't do that. You can't uproot the children from schools, and they would share a car or didn't have a car to get places. That impact as a designer. You know, I was lucky enough to go to art school. It's not imperative. We all can design. We all design now. We don't have to have that. But I've always taught because I love teaching. But as a designer, you are responsible for people further down the chain. Your choices that you make impact every decision that you make, and there are millions of decisions. If you open up your head, all that creativity has got to be organized and sorted, and it's a long process, and it affects lots of people. So the fiber choices. So basically, Britain's not, you know, it's another conversation, but basically Britain's woolen industry and the textile industry went more or less overnight by choices that High Street were making to go to the Far East. Now, what's happening now is the Far East, obviously deservedly, so we don't know, we're producing too much. But what is wonderful now is, well, I'll come to that first of all, but the woolen industry, just to show, and I know yourself, and certainly Jared, he used to write me the most
Jared
wonderful,
Flood.
Jared Flood.
Yeah, Brooklyn Tweed.
Yeah, absolutely. We used to correspond, and he would write me things he was with the initiatives that he did, and we had the wonderful iconic shelter and groundbreaking, because the same was happening in the States. But we had farmers that were not, they were keeping sheep just for meat and not for their fleeces. They were burning fleeces because they weren't getting any money for the fleece. They wouldn't waste
it was
diesel.
Costing them money to take the fleece to market for its market values. They may as well just burn it. And
if you think the Speaker in the House of Commons and the Houses of Parliament in the UK sits on a cushion called the wool sack, which is representative of where we were, the importance of wool within our heritage and our economy.
Yeah, the economy was built on that.
On wool. We still have wool barons around, actually.
Yeah. I want to circle back to Bloom for a minute, because I think that one of the things you've done, well, with all of your baby designs, actually all of your designs, is I think one of the things you do so beautifully is make things timeless. So babies do grow, but these will be either heirlooms for baby's baby, or they will be passed to siblings, or they will go to a friend. I think there, you know, I remember you saying once, what was it, something like, you know, buy less, buy better, or something like that, that if you get good quality and you do things that are timeless, that they will become heirlooms, they will be reused and reused. And I love that. And also the little design tricks of the sleeves, so they can grow into it and have, you know, have it for more years. I think those are the thoughtful things that,
Well, I
that
think-
Bloom exemplifies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. The whole baby thing, designing for baby, it has to be particularly, you have to think about baby. That's why, you know, I started putting the 3-needle seam on the edge, because you don't want baby
On the
like
outside.
on the outside,
Yeah.
because you don't want them
Yeah.
laying on seams. You know, the yarn, we'll talk more about the yarn, but it's the best we can find. I would always put baby personally in natural fibers. Natural fibers wick moisture away from the skin, keeping baby always soft, always comfortable, warm in winter, cool in summer. So this yarn that we've developed is 60% organic cotton, 40% organic wool. So it's the best solution of everything. And also, you'll have to trust me on that. It is so soft.
It
Why
is so
wouldn't you
soft.
your baby in cotton wool? You know,
Cotton
this
wool,
is
yeah.
very-
You know, that's a phrase or an idiom that I don't know is that common in America. I grew up with it with my English granny, you know, oh, you know, wrap them in cotton wool, and you had sort of pictures of cozy, fluffy batting. And yeah, so it's a real, to me, it's a real symbol of, well, it can be used to say, oh, you're being overprotective.
Yeah.
It has that connotation as well. But
Yeah.
I think this is just protective enough. It's time for a drawing. Actually, we're a little over for a drawing, but I'll let John start with.
Are
the
these
front-
ones?
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, whoops, are those next? Come on. No, those are next.
There you go.
Okay, now this batch is from the Bloom collection for cotton wool, which we were just talking about.
Very apt.
Yeah. One thing I want to say about cotton wool that I don't think is a negative, some people may hesitate, but it is hand wash. And I think in many ways that it makes it last longer. You can be more careful with it, but it isn't hard. I mean, you know, plop it in the sink, plop in a little, you know, really nice pure wool wash, let it sit while you're having your shower, you know, squeeze it out and roll it in a towel and lay it flat. It's so easy, and it will just be so clean.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the things that we were kind of talking about, you know, in developing a yarn. So yeah, we have done designs with the cash soft merino and the Summerlight, which you can put in the machine, but also when we really wanted to do this organic cotton and organic wool, and what it means is that the fibers are a bit more delicate, and you really need to take care of them. And I think it's the same. It goes back to, you know, you saying about those knits that then become an heirloom. You know, you've spent time and money and love knitting these items. They're precious. They need to be treated with the utmost respect and care. And of course you want baby to wear them and to, you know, feel comfortable in and enjoy them, and for yourself or for your friend or whoever's going to be the recipient. But also, you have to acknowledge that beautiful fibers, in order to make them last longer, you do have to, you know, take a bit more time. And what we're really about is about slow clothes. You know, we've seen so much fast fashion and the huge detriment to the environment, to the social, you know, the people that are working in the factories to make it, the growers of the fibers, you know, the huge impact into the dyes, into the waterways, all of these things that again, it's about that responsibility. And so if we can, you know, in a small way, just say, okay, here's a alternative option, and, you know, slowly, you know, it's not feasible all the time, but if we can
Right.
make those small choices.
It's choice. It's
Yep.
choice.
Yeah, I have a little cardigan that I'm not sure if I think my mom knit it, and it was knit for my older sister, and then it came to me, and then it went to my sister's daughter, and then it went to my sister's daughter's bear,
Yes.
and it's still lovely. It almost has that slightly felty feel of this
Yes,
yarn,
yes.
that softness, and then my niece had 2 rough and tumble little boys, and it wasn't suitable for them. But I still have it, and I treasure it.
I
Okay,
think
back to prizes.
for me, Kit, it's the velveteen rabbit factor.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah, and there's a little mend on it that's charming.
Yeah.
This little sweater is called Cutie Pie, and the prize is enough yarn to make up to a 12-month size, 3 skeins of the cotton wool in color Nutkin, which I just love. And so 3 skeins. And so the book and the 3 skeins have a retail value of, I didn't add them up, $73.50.
Yay.
And
This is great. I love this.
The anticipation.
Everybody grab another cup of coffee.
Lynn Morin, or Morin if you're French, Lynn Morin.
Show
That
it.
goes
You have to
there.
show it.
Oh, I have to show it. John says I have to show it.
Transparency.
Yes. Wonderful. Okay, the second gift is again from the Bloom at Rowan collection for cotton wool. You talked about this one, Puppet, which is the perfect name for it. It's there's enough yarn to make up to a 12-month size, and it's in the color Giggle, which I love. And again, it's $73.50, and the prize goes to Erika. At some point, you'll have to show them your embroidery on your bag.
I know. I was just looking at it as John was
Yeah.
jiggling that.
Wait,
bag
who's it gonna
there.
be? Who's it gonna be?
The winner is Phyllis Tedesco.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Phyllis. And one more for this series. That one. And another big bag.
Ooh, big one.
Thank you, Rowan. Yes. This is the Doodle blanket,
Oh,
which
we
I
have
think
looked at
is so fun. It's the blanket, the yarn will make a blanket 28 by 35 and a half. You get 11 skeins of yarn. And
Actually, is the yarn held double, this one, so it makes
oh, so
really
lovely for a pot,
cozy. Yeah.
or
It's one of those ones I think you'll make for new baby, and then it becomes, you know, their kind of blankie that they carry around
that
with
they
them.
drag around the house. Yeah, that's the colorway, which I think is lovely. And they're not square. I mean,
There's one that's
there's one that's just a little off kilter, which I think is Erika.
yeah.
just a little bit easy.
Okay,
a
so
little
for the,
kilter.
so for the big prize of that group, Cheryl Valentine is the winner.
Name.
Did I say the retail price on it? Oops. Not. $222.50.
Yeah.
Lovely. That's
Well
a
done,
lovely.
Cheryl.
Yes. So again, our most heartfelt thanks to Rowan for those gorgeous prizes. And we'll pick up a little here. I wonder if you could tell us about the yarn itself. I think we didn't quite cover that enough. How it's made and.
So as we said, it's organic cotton 60% and organic merino wool that's coming from South America. So it's non-museled. Actually, all wool that Rowan produces is all non-museled,
Oh, good to know.
which is something that in particular David, who's the brand manager, has been really kind of passionate and has really driven. So there's 12 colors, and you've got all your kind of classic colors. We've got the beautiful milk, the ecru, and the pale pink and the pale blue, but we also wanted to do some more contemporary colors that we've kind of did a lot of research on, nursery trends, kind of what people are dressing and styling their nurseries as, and also colors that are going to work for mama as well. So you've got a really beautiful kind of navy blue there, which is
gorgeous navy,
always a classic, and Nutkin is just fab, and this Pickles is a real lovely, it looks quite bright on my screen, but it's a little bit more dull and a little kind of mustardy.
It absolutely, this color goes with absolutely everything.
Well,
you know, lovely khakis and grays and beige tones, and
especially with the pink, I think it looks fab with the pink.
Lovely.
I think even your brights there, your pop colors in the palette, are neutrals. You know, you've just done such a beautiful job of marrying across the palette. And I think even the baby pink and the baby blue are just that little bit more special. Little bit more sophisticated.
Too sugary. They're definitely kind of that more muted tone that we find that we're always kind of more drawn towards
kind. I have a kind color. But again, the yarn, it's 142 yards. So the yardage on it is just fantastic. So even if you're freewheeling and knitting, it's a beautiful journey, because as we know, knitting is not just about the race to the finish line. It's, you know, not just about back and a front and 2 sleeves. It's the journey process. And especially also through the lockdowns that we've been having, that had become very important while we were developing this yarn, that the touch and the feel of connecting. And you want to, when there's real, we've had, and you guys over there, we've all shared in horrific global disasters. And as makers and knitters, we feel as though we want to make everything with stitch we make, we want to be throwing this soft armor around our loved ones. We can be, and obviously we haven't been able to see them and hug them, but they are like big soft hugs. So it's important to bring in a yarn that just the best it could be.
It's so soft. And you won't really be able to see it, but I wish you could just reach out and put your hands on it.
It's very got a kind of almost a chainette construction, which means that it's also very airy. So it's not got a really tight twist.
It is a chain. It's an elongated chain, but it's air spun. We shoot. So it's actually, this yarn is actually spun in Italy. With like all these things, you know, you guys are trying to protect, you know, farmers and makers and mills in the United States. We're doing that here. We've had to absolutely redraw everything and start again here. And in Italy too, this is in the area around Biella, and all the mills have been gone and there. And it's a global problem. Craft will save the world. Craft will. We make, and we have the fashion industry now looking at us as makers and the skills that we have,
and slowing the consumption down. Just taking the foot off the gas on that consumption.
Craft is so much about a part of that, because you're so involved with the making. You really understand the value of the clothes, the garments that you're producing. Same with sewers, they will understand it as well. You know, once you know the hours and the kind of skill that goes into creating something, you value that.
It's more precious.
So passing on this gift of making to people is the best education. And we as, you know, women as men, of getting together as a community, passing on those skills is the best thing we can do. I'd love to see the world of craft have a big capital C.
Yes. Wait, I also want to say about the cotton wool. it is chainette, but I think it's the cotton component that makes it not so springy, because I've had a little hard time sometimes knitting with chainette, but this
Yeah.
is, it's not stiff, but it has a little bounce, but it's not stretchy. And it's almost has a halo. It's almost like it's been brushed a little bit
Yeah.
or felted a little bit.
I would like to, as sort of, there is no migration. What we would call migration. It
Like
does
fibre
not, the
drift.
fiber drift,
Yeah.
which is absolutely essential and important in a design for
And
baby.
yeah, all Rowan yarns go through tests, especially if they're kind of being sold as for baby yarns, tests to make sure that there isn't kind of fiber drift that can cause any
No
problems.
problem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it has just got that nice, kind of fluffy
because of the
halo.
cotton,
Yeah,
as you say,
And it's so matte, which I love.
Yes,
And I think
yes,
it
you're right.
really expresses your palette beautifully.
Yeah,
the
Um,
mill is a couture mill. It's just one of the
one of
Yeah.
the best mills in the world.
and the dye house, you would just go crazy. It's just wonderful
Yeah.
to work with them.
So we got so caught up, as we do. It is now time for another drawing if we're going to get back on track. So first one.
Want to show your embroidered bag?
I will show my embroidered bag as John does this. Yes.
Right, let's see what the gift is.
Let's see what the gift will do.
Okay, this one is Little Lamb.
We've got Little Lamb
We've
hanging.
got Little Lamb hanging there. It's a little cardigan.
Yeah,
And
it's a top-down cardigan.
it's up to 12 months. Your gift is 3 skeins of the Baby Cash Soft Merino, which is a yarn I love. The color is Piglet. And with the book, $49 gift. I hope I'm getting that math right. Anyway.
Drum roll, here we go again. Yeah.
Lynn Brack, Brakkeu, or perhaps Break.
Cool.
Well done, Lynn.
Yes, congratulations.
Well, John has got that tote bag. Oh, sorry. The little tote bag
This
features
is the
little logo.
This is cotton tote bag. Very exclusive to the first 50 purchasers online. But yeah, what we've done is on the Bloom logo, Erika has just done a little embroidery just to show how you can kind of customize.
And you could put your purchase in there and then re-gift it, as a
Give the gift in the tote. So we got so much to talk about. We did skip over Bella, and what I want to say is that when Arabella and I were talking last week, and I said, well, what do you do? And she rattled off the amazing things that she does. She works on the yarn development and the palette development. She wrangles Erika. She designed the logo. And I particularly wanted to point that out because I think it is so brilliant the way you brought the Rowan, the Rowan tree leaves into the Bloom logo. I think that's just such a lovely reference. And then the little Bloom flowers. And I also loved that you used the baby bee, the small lowercase b. I think that's just really endearing. So
yeah, it's such a Bloom itself is such a kind of full word, and obviously has lots of positive connotations. And then Rowan, it's always been kind of that heritage of Rowan by the mill and the Rowan tree, which is where the name comes from. And the icon has always had those little leaves. So this is just kind of the leaf blossoming into this new life with the new Bloom. And also to say that Bloom isn't just, although it's brand new to Rowan, it's going to be around now always. And we happen to know that some of your other favorite designers are doing some new designs and collections for future seasons. So and the whole concept is always about mama and baby and really celebrating that time. So yeah, it's quite a nice dedicated space within Rowan.
Nice. So even though the cotton wool is a new yarn, it's part of the Rowan line.
Yeah.
And the collections are sort of the offshoot. The palette and the collections
Yeah.
are the offshoot. Next prize is called, whoops, I've got the wrong one marked. Hang on. Oh, no, I don't. It's the Lullaby crochet blanket, which was like the, we did the cotton one that was a solid color. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors of baby cash soft merino. And I'll show you the palette. Let's do it this way. Does that work?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the beautiful palette. So there's Pickle, Nutkin, Piglet, Cecily, and Puddle. And the $82.50. Nice gift for some lucky person.
Nice project, even to keep for oneself to.
Yes, yes, and I think it is a throw that could go in the family room or.
So just little.
The winner is Dorcas Colas
Oh, great.
or
name.
Colas. Congratulations. And that's later.
Oh,
That's the
no,
grand
the big
prize.
one's over there.
Oh, he's
This is
right,
the
he's
third
right,
one.
he's right. It's the grand-ish prize.
This
Ah,
isn't
second
even
grand.
Wow.
I love the rattle of a shopping bag.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just evocative.
This one, you showed us sketches of this, Erika.
serendipity. Yeah.
This is the dandelion.
Serendipity.
Yes, and it's I believe it fits up to a 50-inch bust with plus 5 inches of ease, and it takes 12 skeins, and it's in the color Cecily, which is a beautiful,
I love this.
you know,
color.
not too cool, not too warm, beautiful, beautiful green with a little gray undertone that will make it just beautiful with anything.
Sage.
And the prize is, whoops, hang on. Well, I'm not going to do the math. The yarn is $132 and the book is $16.50.
I would just point out on this, just on the back neck as well, because it's got a rib back.
Yes.
Very often I would, because it's got integral strapping on the front, instead of doing bands which you have to sew on and then you have a horrible center back seam or at the side or what have you, this is joined here, so you always get this lovely line on the
Oh,
neck.
beautiful.
So it's again to minimize finishing, hopefully.
Yeah, and that ribbing will be very forgiving and good for lots of sizes, I think. Scooch them all up. Keep sticking. Whoops,
Oh, you're
I'm
caught.
stuck. Gail Sundberg Douse won that beautiful prize. Congratulations, Gail. And again, our thanks to Rowan. And those are just wonderful.
And if anyone, when you knit these items, when you receive your prize, if you're on Instagram or social media, definitely
share them with
tag
Yes.
Knit Rowan by me, tag Church Mouse and Bloom at Rowan. And yeah, the
Absolutely.
Rowan guys might feature you in their Instagram as well.
Yeah,
Great.
we'd love to see anyway.
Yeah,
We'd love
tag
to
us.
see.
Yes, 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 absolutely. And now I think we're going to move to Q&A and see if any of our attendees have questions for Erika or Bella. No?
And Bernheisel thanked us. Cynthia, thank you.
Oh,
Good
lots of
questions.
thank yous.
So,
Lots of thank yous. So we can just keep chatting. Although actually I do have one quick Q&A that I have to ask you personally, Erika. One of the reasons you're my idol is that you wear red lipstick better than anybody in the world. Okay, maybe Paloma Picasso, but you know.
I'll give her
Okay.
that.
And I just wondered if you have a favorite red lippy.
Oh, good
do you know, a good
question.
question. Love that. Do you know, I think again, like we say, knitwear is soft armor. A red lipstick is a good armor, isn't it? Because
Really
you can
is.
always get that out.
And you know
can't
what?
you?
I've really
It's
missed
instant.
wearing lipstick during the
Yeah, with a
pandemic where you have to wear a
mask.
mask.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorites, obviously, I know it's probably a boring classic, but it would be the Chanel.
Chanel red. Yeah.
The Chanel red. But
Yeah.
we do have a brand over here called Number 7, and they're red. Their lipsticks are amazing. Slight moisture, but matte, but a moisture, and their reds are terrific.
Yeah.
And they do a
think-
fantastic with a skin tone match. So you will find that red,
Bright
the
red.
red
Yeah.
for a skin tone.
I think MAC Ruby Woo is always a
Ruby
classic.
Woo is a good classic.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So bringing it back to yarn, it's kind of like there's the perfect red for everybody. You know, I tend to shy away from yellow, but I found a yellow that I love.
Yeah.
So it's you know, it's important to ditch our preconceptions. One of the things, Erika, that I appreciate so much in your design, in your aesthetic, is I think that your design is sort of perennially modern. And I think that has to do with the fact that you do have your eyes wide open out in the world. But in terms of just kind of what we tend to think of as modern, being simple, clean, beautifully functional, a little bit minimalist, but a bit soft. I mean, you do that so beautifully, and you, I think, I love the little things that you do. One of the things I have loved most recently is, I'm not going to remember the book or the name of the pattern, but you designed in a home collection recently for Rowan. You designed a blanket that was I believe a chevron kind of stitch, and you mixed together creative linen and brushed fleece.
Yeah.
Which was exquisite. And that would never have crossed my mind in a million years, but it's opened my mind to thinking about putting different things together.
Yeah, so that one it's called Marum, and it was from Rowan Magazine 68. Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, that was because they wanted us to do home. And I think home is like fashion, as we say, fashion. It isn't about like buying it now and throwing it out. There are certain chains here, you know, and people, when they're buying armfuls of cheap clothing to wear quick fixes, that's what we've got to stop. And I have seen firsthand the damage that has done in many things. So clothing, you have to, I like linen. I'm wearing linen today. I like a good linen because yes, it creases, but it gets better with age. It's the most ancient of fibers. So I do love the Rowan linen cotton. Marie Wallen and I were on the quest for the best linen because it's got to, we love linen, the effect and the drape and the sheen and the washing and ancient fiber. And you can work with hemp and it will grow anywhere. You don't have to give it, you know, it doesn't need pesticides. It doesn't need nutrition. It will just grow. You can cut this stuff down and it will grow again.
Yes, very sustainable.
Very sustainable. But it sometimes can be very coarse in the hand. So it was very important that the whole process of knitting, making has to be enjoyable. So, you know, the cotton linen, but it is a pleasure when you can, so brush fleece. For me, brush fleece is quite airy. It's very whisper fine. So it just, the marriage. And
the marriage of those two was so perfect.
Yeah, and the linen adds the drape, so you still get that kind of weightiness that you want from a blanket or a throw, but with the softness of the.
But it is what I call opposites attract. And I think too, it's whether you bring two colors that you think are opposite parts of the color wheel, or textures, smooth, if you go like smooth and rough, or soft and hard, or sheeny and matte. You just put this I love this word. There's one, probably my mum and dad would have said that my education as art wasn't all in vain. They knew before I did that the world wasn't waiting for another mediocre painter. But the word juxtaposition, isn't that a wonderful word?
Yes.
Juxtaposition. So if you put two opposites.
I think that's a really good tip. And actually someone on the Q&A has just asked about how to begin as a designer. Claudia has just written in, and I think that's that is one of those things, isn't it? It's even if you are already a designer, it's, you know, where does that inspiration come from? And sometimes those simple tricks, like just thinking, okay, I'm going to take opposites. That's quite
because
a good...
also I think too at the moment, and I'm sure many people would say the same, life is very overwhelming and projects are very overwhelming. I dare say a lot of us have, of course we've used up our stash, not you know, although I'm loving my stash, and we could have another time about what we do with the stash, and do we categorize it by weight or color or texture, and how we organize our stash, or we don't. But I think it's what was I saying? Sorry.
I don't know, but you should try and answer the question about how to
becoming
begin
a designer.
So how to begin as a designer? I think it's judging quite, but because everything is overwhelming, like even what I said, there are too many ideas. So you have to go for me, it's going over the edges, putting everything. Sometimes I think they're called mind maps. There is a name for them. I'll write down all those sort of ideas and then take 2 or 3 of them. At Rowan, I will share this a little bit with you. We would have an adage sort of saying, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So you don't put everything on your design just because you can. I've got this technique and that, and I want to put a hood and I want to put a
that's
thing,
totally the hardest thing, isn't it? Because sometimes you've got all those ideas, but kind of taking, you know, was it Coco Chanel or someone said, you know, when you leave the house, take off the last
one thing off. Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that.
You're saying that. And it's Joan.
Oh yes, someone has asked.
I just caught that. Woman after my own heart.
She's asking after Erika's marvelous rings.
Because I've been obsessed with people's eyebrows during lockdown. So on Zoom. So I get this thing. Somebody once said about me that I'm never knowingly under accessorized. So you saying about the accessories,
but your signature is simple.
It's true. Yeah. Again, Gemini, totally contradictory.
Yeah.
Ask her tomorrow, she'll have a different answer.
But you know, I love big rings and accessories and big bracelets. This I just found in an antique shop. It was in Indian as well. But I love
beautiful
stones. And we're working on another project, a sort of a bit of a little spoiler alert coming soon.
No, I think that's
all right, another spoiler alert.
No. We're not allowed to.
No, but it's all about stones and things. So
okay.
And Matt
I have one last little thing to say that I appreciate about you. Is I'm knitting the peachy hat from the free pattern that everybody will be getting. And I noticed that you did the I-cord purlwise.
Yeah.
Again, I would not have thought of that. And I love that you will take something that's so expected and it is sort of, you know, we just assume that you do it that way and you don't assume anything.
It's just, do you know, that little bonnet and those little pair of booties they look so simple and sort of a little throwaway thing. They're lovely because they are nice little first gifts to make, but they took us the longest time to design.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many prototypes we did.
Yeah.
And it was about the I-cord. It didn't, for me, designing for baby, I call it now the R factor, obviously for Rowan, but it has to be, you have to have the response when you give it, you know, anything to do with baby has to have the R factor.
Yes.
Yeah. And it wasn't cute enough. It wasn't doing the right thing, and it needed to be
a little
to make. Yeah. And so every little strap is very soft. This yarn is so beautiful and soft to do just a little tiny little bonnet or just the little boots, but you will get it all out of one.
Yeah, and also to say with that free pattern that participants can get from this session, the bonnet is in the booklet, but the little boots are only on that free pattern. So that's
okay, great.
Yeah.
Great.
And yeah,
Wonderful.
those come out of one ball. So it's such a great gift.
Excellent.
Yeah. And
I'm
again,
fabulous.
perfect in the mail.
That's
isn't
what
it?
I like, is
Yeah.
you can be away from your loved ones or someone, but you can make a little thing. It's just one little ball of this yarn, and it could be posted off and give someone mailed off.
I have a friend who shamelessly calls it winning the shower. Winning the baby shower. Yeah.
Totally on that.
So grand.
I'm going to use that, Kit.
We're going to do the grand prize. Grand
Grand
prize.
prize. Oh, I have it. No, you have it.
Right there.
There. Big bag. This is amazing. Again, from the Bloom at Rowan cotton wool collection. It's a cropped pullover called Petal. It's a fabulous piece. I might make this. And I love the way you showed it in the sketch over a long shirt.
Yeah.
Because I think that's just really clever. Again, up to a 50-inch bust. And your prize, your gift.
Oh, Arabella's trying it on.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Look at this. It's my favorite, and everybody, it just will suit everyone.
Who doesn't want that?
Just some,
That's,
lay it over your.
oh, nice details. Lovely.
All selvage edges, so just simple.
And look at that drape.
Yeah, lay it up.
I feel like I'm on a shopping channel, sorry. So your prize,
Only 5 left.
yes, your prize is 17 skeins of cotton wool.
It's double.
This
Yeah, double, yeah.
Oh, is it double? Oh, fantastic. And
great
That's
for
nice
the car.
colour as well.
Great for getting in the car and picking up the kids.
And also in that kind of not quite winter, fall time, or when it's not quite cold enough for a coat, this is perfect.
Yeah. And this prize is a retail value of about $340, which is so generous. Thank you, Rowan, again. Okay. Everybody put your thoughts on it. The winner is Sandra Ilbes, E-I-L-B-E-S, Elbus. Sandra, you're the winner. Congratulations. Oh, have to show it. Transparency. Okay. And let's see how our time is. So just before we just say our last goodbyes, just a couple of little things to remember. Don't forget to use your $10 code when you check out, and you can use that once. Look for your free pattern. The gift with the first 50 purchases starting at $11.30 on the nose will get Erika's lovely tote. And I love the idea of embroidering on it. I think that's so much fun. And the first 100 orders, I think, will get a little travel packet of soak that Jacqueline.
Scentless.
Yeah, and this is because
yes.
We mentioned before that the cotton wool you do need to hand wash. We wanted to do this collaboration with Soak, which is our favorite wool wash because it's so easy to use. You don't need to agitate, you don't do anything, you just soak it for 15 minutes, put it out, dry it flat, always dry your knits flat. And yeah, it's really easy and it's scentless so that there's no kind of horrible, unnecessary smells for baby. It's also great for washing your delicates and any other handmade items.
And so from Soak, then it would, if they wanted to buy a bottle, maybe a small bottle to give as a gift with the item, they would get that from us.
Yes. We're asking what the code is, so you can show the code.
Okay, and I think that's it. Other than to say thank you to so much. This has just been lovely, and I want to do it again, like this afternoon. But we'll get some more things going. And thank you so much to our guests. I've really appreciated the interest we have right now. We have 89 people with us, which is so wonderful. And
4 are interested. Hold the code up.
is this the
Closer,
code?
closer.
Erica and Kit.
So
I'm gonna-
Erica, ampersand, Kit, no spaces.
Good till midnight Pacific.
Today,
On Sunday.
Sunday. Okay, and that code is good until Sunday at midnight Pacific time
On any purchase.
on any purchase.
Amazing.
Okay.
So I just want to say thank you to you, Kit and John. You've always been pioneers within our industry. I don't know, having this time with you has just been glorious. It's things you've said have just been so meaningful for me in my career too. For you to like what I do is just glorious.
Well,
With the team community you have as well. You are pioneers again with what you're doing now as we all take our craft and skills into a new
And evolve. Yeah.
into a new future, which is so exciting.
well, you've always been a great champion of the craft, and you've been so encouraging and inspiring to me. You've sometimes you might not have known it, but you've encouraged me to keep going. But when it maybe got a little tough. So I just appreciate you so much. And I think that's what this is all about for all of us, is having each other's backs, keeping each other going, and, you know, sharing the love.
Well, and also this morning I began to say that I'd had a very inspiring morning, and you alluded to when we met up and we went to the V&A, which was which we've remembered. Next time you come over, and hopefully with John, and I know Rowan are trying to get people to come over once we can all travel safely.
To do workshops.
There's a wonderful little gem of a place here in Sussex called Charleston. It's a little farmhouse cottage where Virginia Woolf wrote and Vanessa Bell painted. They were sisters. The Bloomsbury Group gave rise to, and it is at the heart of Rowan. And this morning, I was stood in the studio of Vanessa Bell and Duncan Grant, and their colours inspire me all the time. But somebody had pointed out by a little desk, and it was a little picture of Vanessa Bell's little baby boy called Quentin, who's a ceramist now and very obviously, but it was this heartfelt picture, and somebody said it looks a little sad, and I said no, that's absolutely love of this baby, and that's what, you know, this has been about. It's all about and across, but being inspired. I was so inspired this morning and was so looking forward to coming to talk about that sort of baby love today.
And yeah, sharing that love across our knitting community, which is what knitting can do for us. It's just the best gift in the world.
And I want to take you there, Kit, next time.
Okay, it's a date.
And anyone else who wants to come.
Well, I'm afraid we have to say goodbye. I could do this all day with you, and we'll look forward to doing it again. Thank you both, and thanks
Have a lovely weekend.
Thanks, you too. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks to attendees.
And thank you all our attendees for sitting with us and making this special. And we'll keep you posted on what happens next. Thanks. Bye-bye. There.